And welcome back for round 2. This is game 1. We've got Michael Barker on the left of screen playing Delver versus yours truly on the right of screen playing Mono White Enchantments. And this is the first time I've ever played this deck in a tournament, so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It should be very interesting. Delver is a popular archetype in Modern, which has some strength lately thanks to Treasure Cruise.
Seems to be the #1 deck in Modern at this point in time. However, Barker's version here is slightly different to the usual version, where it doesn't play as many one cantrips, I suppose. It plays a lot more 2 casting cost spells, but still has like Delver of Secrets in there, obviously Lightning Bolt and so on. So we can certainly expect to see some of those from Barker as the game goes on.
Delver is a pretty popular. Delver of Secrets is a popular card around Bendigo. A few of us played it back when it was in Standard. I didn't actually play it in Standard, but in other formats I have played it, including Modern and Pauper.
And speaking of the Delver of Secrets, Barker's come out with that on turn 1, and I've just played a Porphyry Nodes. I apologise for my pronunciation of the card. And Barker's just taking a second to read it, and what it actually does is it makes people sacrifice creatures.
Destroy, actually it destroys.
No, destroy creatures
with the least power.
The good thing about the card is it doesn't target. The bad thing about it is you have to wait until your upkeep before you actually destroy some creatures. So the Delver is flipped here. I've taken 3 damage.
I believe that looks like a Sulphur Falls.
Yes, hasn't taken any damage from that. And obviously the Nodes has taken out the Delver of Secrets. Now when there's no creatures in play, I have to sacrifice the Nodes, and that's why it's gone to the graveyard there.
That's a nice 1-for-1.
It is a nice 1-for-1. You can quite often, however, get more than just 1-for-1 out of it, depending on how many creatures out and what your opponent does, whether they try to race against it or not.
Is that a Hinterland Harbour, the blue-green checkland?
Yes, he is playing. It's a blue-red-green version of Delver.
I haven't actually seen him play this particular list in one, so this will be interesting to watch.
The Rug Delver. However, it doesn't play Tarmogoyf, as like myself, those cards are a little out of price range for your standard grinder.
It is kind of unfortunate, but again, a card like Tarmogoyf is very popular around Bendigo, mostly due to the price tag.
Yeah. I hope they get reprinted in Modern Masters 2 again, because the first reprinting did absolutely nothing for the price, so...
it did for a good couple months. Yep,
but it's back around $200. Now I've just cast a Sigil of the Empty Throne, which basically says when when an enchantment comes into play, I get a 4/4 Angel. However, Michael has remanded that one, so it's gone back into my hand, and basically been a time walk for Michael there.
Remand is a great tempo play.
And so I come out with it again, and let's see if you can... Yep, Mana Leak this time. Now, Mono White Enchantments only plays 5 win conditions in the entire deck. 4 of them being the Sigil of the Empty Throne, and the other one being Heliod, which hopefully you can make a bunch of tokens with using Shrine to Nyx.
Is that a dig through time for Barker?
Certainly seems to be, as he's going for 7 cards. I did ask him at this point in time if he can choose to have no cards from the dig through time, as I believe he was rather frustrated at drawing so many lands. But surely he found a couple useful cards with that dig through time, and puts the other 5 back on the bottom of the library. Unfortunately, from memory, I believe this game 1 to be rather slow. And we were both having a little bit of a chuckle about that. From memory, I was holding several Oblivion rings in hand, and because Michael's put nothing out to actually Oblivion ring,
there actually aren't that many permanents in the Delver deck. There's Delver and maybe just a couple other things, but that's about it. Is it a Sphere of Safety?
It is a Sphere of Safety. The deck plays 3 of them, and again a Mana Leak. So certainly keeping my permanents off the board, which is obviously what Delver excels at, with Remands, Mana Leaks, Lightning Bolts, Snapcaster Mages, recurring stuff, and so on.
Delver decks tend to be pretty good against 5 mana spells,
yes,
as long as they've got untapped lands.
And of course with the new Delver decks, it helps with Dig Through Times and Treasure Cruisers to have plenty of cards in the graveyard to use now that's a Ghostly Prison.
That's a Snapcaster Mage, probably targeting that Mana Leak.
Mana Leak, I would think. There we go, and obviously I don't have the extra 3 to pay.
And that's another permanent. I believe the majority of Delver decks, they play Delver of Secrets, they play Snapcaster Mage, and no other permanents unless you're playing Running Glyph.
Or Young Pyromancer.
Or Young Pyromancer, that's correct.
Mystic Monastery has come into it recently as well.
Oh yeah.
Depending on what version you're playing. Now here's one of my Oblivion rings, which finally I get to resolve something, so that was nice of Michael to let me do that.
It looks like he's cracking a Wooded Foothills there.
Going down to 18, fixing up the dice. Very nicely done by me.
Good job.
Thanks. So Michael's got 2 cards in his graveyard if he wishes to use them. Obviously the mono white enchantments deck is a relatively slow deck.
That's the strategy, isn't it?
It is, and the whole idea is to frustrate your opponent, I suppose, into conceding. Here comes another Sigil of the Empty Throne, running into a Remand once again. I don't mind too much playing against Remand.
You don't feel as bad when you get the card back, don't you?
That's it. That's it. I know they get a card out of it, and sometimes that's all you're playing on your particular turn. But I don't feel as bad as say a standard counterspell or a Mana Leak or something where I don't get anything back.
The Mana Leak is the most frustrating when you can't pay for it.
That's a Ruined Halo. I believe I named Delver of Secrets because apart from the Snapcaster Mage, that's all I've seen at this point in time. Not knowing what other win conditions Michael's playing.
Now there's this running joke among the Bendigo Magic crew that Barker likes to draw lands, or likes to not draw lands. Well, I believe today he likes to draw lands.
He's certainly doing the first of those during this match. So I've got up to 7 mana here, and we do know I've got the Sigil in hand. So I can try and come out with that again. I did think at this point in time to try and wait until I had 1 more land to work around the Mana Leak. But I did want to start to apply a little bit of pressure.
Now is Barker responding?
Yes.
Like cracking a fetch? Okay. So the spell has not resolved yet.
Not yet. So he's cracked the fetch, gone down to 17.
Could that signal a Remand in hand? That he wants to draw a card and have 1 less land in his deck?
Well, it certainly would be a percentage play. Fortunately, he picked up that one extra card that flew down onto the desk there from shuffling.
I can see he's giving it a very good shuffle.
Well, he did draw a lot of land during this particular game, which... and he gets another one. So as you can see, he virtually slammed that Beta Island down. So a nice little bit of bling with the land at least.
Ley Line of Sanctity.
Ley Line of Sanctity indeed.
Goes back to your hand.
Back to the hand. And I believe I can just recast that if I wish.
With four devotion, yeah.
Yes. And so that'll stop things like lightning bolts. Now I've also triggered, there we go, as a response he's double lightning bolted me.
He's using his lightning bolts,
yes.
So they don't go to waste. Because they're not going to do much against 4/4 angels.
Well, it's also not going to do much with the Ley Line of Sanctity out. And I believe I should have changed that dice there down to about 11.
You're doing that now.
So again, Barker's going through an extra decent shuffle here. He's trying to find something that he can hopefully get out on the board, because obviously I've put him onto a clock here, starting to get angels out. And we've got a Snapcaster Mage.
Was that a treasure cruise?
Must have been a treasure cruise there.
So hopefully Barker's drawn a few non-land cards here for his sake. I can't imagine he has a main deck way of dealing with that ley line.
No, I don't believe he did. Obviously, Delver has a few things in the sideboard, especially with the Rugged Delver deck, to deal with enchantments. But I certainly felt post game one that I had a few things that I could bring in as well, and I'll speak about those in game two. Now it looks like Barker even paid full price for the treasure cruise.
Well, if he's got enough lands, whatever he draws in a deck like that, he can pay for with 4 mana.
Well, considering everything except for treasure cruise and dig through time is, you know,
one or two.
You only need a couple land for the Delver deck to run at full capacity. So I've swung with the Angel there, put Michael down from 16 to 12. It's on a 3-turn clock. And the only reason I haven't cast anything is I believe I'm still hanging on to a couple Oblivion Rings. And once again, there's nothing out on the board for me to target unless I target my own things, which didn't really seem to be too much of an option.
You know, and with Oblivion Ring, you have to target as well.
So attacking with the 4/4 Angel, putting Michael down to 8. So a 2-turn clock there.
And unfortunately, a lot of Barker's removal caps at 3 damage. But he is trying to dig through time, I believe.
No, it's a Snapcaster Mage.
Snapcaster Mage, dig through time.
Dig through time?
Yep.
Now, can you, if I Snapcaster Mage with the dig through time, can I delve with the dig through time or not?
I'm actually trying to remember that. I'm going to look up a card for that has that ability. I believe you can,
Because this was the discussion that Michael and I are having at the moment. Because he obviously paid full price here for the dig through time.
Yeah. Look, I believe you can.
From what I understand, you can also. However, if we're wrong, certainly do tell us about that in the comments.
Because Delve is not an alternative cost, it can be used in conjunction with alternative costs. That's one of the rulings on Delve cards on Gatherer, which that's the closest thing to being relevant to this discussion that I can find. So I think you can.
Alrighty, so he's cast Snapcaster Mage out there, which will give me something to Oblivion Ring next turn, and get another Angel. However, out we come here with the Young Pyromancer.
Yep.
So Michael's decided that now's the time to make a move as he's on a 2-turn clock. And I don't think Delver can block anything with flying unless Delver itself flips over.
That's right. He's not going to have anything with flying in his deck. Well, what's that he's casting there?
I believe it's a Simic Charm.
Oh, yes.
Giving his Snapcaster Mage +3/+3, and obviously triggering the Young Pyromancer as well.
Is there a reason why he didn't try to return your Angel to your hand?
Yes, there is, and I believe we'll see that in just a second.
Oh, he's got another one?
Now, I don't think that's a Simic Charm, that one. I believe it's a different charm.
But something that can deal with your Angel anyway.
Yes. Now I believe Michael's got a few more tricks up his sleeve, so we're attacking through, I think, for 5. And there's another Simic Charm, putting it up to 8 damage. Triggering the Young Pyromancer again. And the Snapcaster Mage, bringing back the Simic Charm through for 12, which is why he didn't choose to bounce.
That is impressive.
That's an explosive turn there by Michael. An explosive turn.
He has come from behind and just taken the game.
Oh, absolutely. I felt pretty confident with that one, but obviously it wasn't to be. Anyway, we'll be back with Game 2 very, very shortly.